Welcome to episode 12 of Bagels and Locks on this beautiful Monday morning. Not really too beautiful outside. August the 10th. 12 episodes in. Pretty nuts, Brandon. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, so I think we're just going to dive right on into it.
Wait, Jason, is it more nuts that this is the 12th episode or that it's August 10th?
I'm going to say, honestly, 12 episodes for me. It kind of feels a little more nuts, which is like kind of a big to say because it's pretty wild that it is August 10th.
Yeah. If I had to say, I'd agree with you, because if you think about it, if this is the 12th episode, think of how far we've come and when we started and what was going on and like just how deep we've made it. And like, yeah, time goes by fast as hell. So I'm not surprised that it's August 12th or 10th, I should say.
Yeah.
But yes, let's get right into it. You know what, Jay? You opened the show and I stole the thunder from you. So go ahead, break it down. You break it down for us.
Pretty much our first topic for today is one that's been in the headlines these past couple days and probably will continue to be in the headlines for the next few days. But college football, probably not going to be played, Brandon.
Yep. Yeah, I think that first off, it's the right call, and I really didn't think there was much discussion in general. Like, there's really no argument. We saw this morning, Jason, literally like, what was it, 10 minutes ago? Supposedly the Big Ten voted 12-2 to cancel the football season. Both Michigan and MSU voted not to play. We know that, well, there's a lot of excitement behind Michigan State's football team looking for a bounce-back season. D'Antonio calls it a quits. New coach Mel Tucker comes into play, but obviously coronavirus is the real deal. And if you ask me, Jason, I would think that it was super hypocritical if college football were to be played, because it just goes against everything in regards to the argument of should classes be online or in person. And it's looking, as of today, as of Monday, that college football will not be played. I'm sure you've seen the hashtag going around of, we want to play. Trevor Lawrence was tweeting it, some of the other big names in college football. What do you think, Jay? I mean, is it the right call? Do you think that before this article broke, the story broke, that that it should be played? I mean, what do you think?
I thought that there was just going to be no shot that it was going to be played because, I mean, even the NFL is going to be a little tricky, which we'll get into that in a little bit. But it's just so hard with you have so many kids who are coming from all over the place, and at the end of the day, they're college kids. Like, we weren't there too long ago. Don't really feel too far removed from it, if at all, Brandon. Like, irresponsible. Like, you just like do fun shit. Like, you just do stuff that probably isn't the most corona safe or corona forward thinking, and you could end up getting a ton of people sick. Like, I, for one, remember when the COVID first kind of started hitting the United States, or the Michigan area at least, in March, and it was right after spring break. So we all left for spring break and all had come back to school. And there was a bunch of the football players that would hang out at Linden at my house up there. And, we had just been there and all this news was coming out about how COVID's in the US and there's a huge outbreak in Florida and Fort Lauderdale. And I knew like a bunch of these guys were just down there and they were just talking about how they just came from practice with like the whole team, which is, I don't know how many people are directly involved in the college football program, but I'd assume maybe, more so than an NFL team, like player wise and student wise. And you don't know where any of those people have been, what type of trips they took, how responsible they were. But this is before we really knew about it. So people were kind of just doing what they want and just going about their lives. And that was one of the big reasons I kind of left Michigan State before a lot of people. Like, I know you stayed up there longer than I did even.
Yeah. Well, like you said about the trip, because we have we're friends with a lot of the players in the football team. We know them well, and at that point in time, there wasn't that much known about the virus, and yada yada yada. The list goes on, but I wanted to read off a list of some of like the tweets that Trevor Lawrence was tweeting, because I think this goes like hand in hand with a lot of what we're talking about in terms of if the season were to actually happen. So he tweeted this was 16 hours ago. People are at just as much, if not more, risk if we don't play. Players will all be sent home to their own communities where social distancing is highly unlikely and medical care and expenses will be placed on the families if they were to contract COVID. This is like a list of tweets he tweets out. I'm only going to read the
Yeah.
first tweet. So he says that you're just as much, if not more likely to catch it if you don't play. So here's the thing. Right off the bat, I agree, but I disagree with what he's saying. Obviously, he wants to play, and I hear him. I feel for every college athlete out there, regardless of the sport you play, because we saw this happen, especially to Michigan State with, the NCAA, the AA, the tournament being canceled back in March. So college athletes have already experienced the loss of play of their season due to COVID. So Trevor's arguing that if we don't play, you're at more risk to contract it, which doesn't make any sense because we're all at equal risk. Doesn't matter if you're a college athlete. Jason, you and I are at the same level of risk. I mean, you can go to the store, you can go anywhere out. Like, no one is at a higher risk unless you're being an idiot and you're going to parties or bars and you're hanging out with like other people, coughing on each other and whatnot. If they play and there was a season, who's to say that they wouldn't go hang out like at their friend's house? Like, you know what I mean? If the
Yeah.
season were to actually happen, there's no way that these guys, college kids, people like you and I, would not go hang out with their friends, would stay in their dorm 24/7 on lockdown. You only go to practice and back home. There's no way that would happen. I mean, do you feel me? Like
I
that would
mean,
be the case.
I understand you, but I feel like also like Trevor Lawrence needs to be more open-minded about how a day in the life of college football might look at a university that's not Clemson, right? Because their program might be taking certain precautions and doing certain things, and they're like a national title contender. So maybe they actually do take it super serious and only hang out in their dorms and don't do parties and whatever.
Sure.
But how is that going to look like at Michigan State or at
Western.
Western, at any other one of these smaller types of schools? I mean, you don't know, a team that really doesn't have anything to win or lose. How precautious are they going to be?
And then if that's the case, right, then you're just screwing over everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at baseball and the Marlins. I mean,
The
the Marlins
Cardinals.
suck. I mean, not right now, but they're one of the worst teams in baseball, and they go ahead, go to a club, do whatever, and they ruin it for everyone else. So who's to say, like you say, that a shittier team won't care as much, won't have as strong as a protocol as, say, Clemson, and go out and do whatever they want. One player gets it, and boom, it screws everything over.
Mm-hmm.
I totally feel you on that, and I like that you brought that up because Clemson is a great example of a team that would need to strictly abide by those rules if college football were to be played. And at the end of the day, they're just college students. They're not making money. You're not
Well,
guaranteed. Well, things have changed,
some
and
of these football players might be.
yes, but the 95% of them don't have a check coming in every 2 weeks, right? So
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, they're just playing the game. And I hear you. If I was a college athlete, damn, I wish that I could be playing. It's horrible. I can't imagine how it feels to be in their shoes. But at the same time, you're just college kids, and you're gonna want to go out on the weekends, or well, it's different when you're in the season. But regardless, you're gonna want to do things that every college student does. That every athlete has done leading up to this. So it's a really difficult call, and it's tough for them. But I think we're obviously we're going to officially see within the next couple of days here the decision that's made, and it's looking highly likely that there will be no college football. And for a lot of people, that's going to be a really hard adjustment.
Yeah, I mean it sucks. If the NFL gets played, I hear there's some talks that they might do what they do in the playoffs, which is they have a game or two on Saturdays as well. So that could kind of fill your Saturday football void that exists there if that ends up happening. Should be interesting to see if that happens.
Yeah, I firmly believe the NFL will not be played unless a private island is bought
I
or
mean,
some big. They can't
I
just play.
firmly disagree with you, bro. I think they will definitely play week one. From then on out, I don't know how many weeks they'll last, but the season's going to start.
Okay, sure.
I mean, training camp is like here, like it's like happening and stuff. Like they're
I
planning
hear
on.
you. The NFL is the NFL, right? It is one of the highest gross revenue sport. It is the highest grossing revenue sport.
Well, and you have to think about how much they truly care about their players' safety. I mean, they send their guys in there to get concussed over the course of a game 16 weeks a year.
And
They
they
don't
just
they don't care.
feed them. Yeah,
Yeah,
they feed them Xanax and pain, medications
exactly.
and shit like that. Where it just, you're right, they don't care. They want to make their money, and we have no say in that. But at the end of the day, if it does play out week one, shit's gonna hit the fan. I also think too that in terms of all four major sports in the NFL, you're gonna have the most players opting out, 100%.
There's been 69. That's it. They had an opt out date. You had to opt out by 69. That's not a joke either. It's
They
exactly
had it.
69. Because before training camps and everything started, you had to opt out. So they said by this day you have to say I'm opting out. It was 69 players.
Oh, I think that's BS. I think
I
players
mean, look
are.
it up. It's a
No,
fact.
no, I hear you. I'm just saying, players don't care. They don't give a shit about that. If I'm on the Lions and someone just contracted COVID,
All right, but
and
we've had 4 or 5 people contract COVID on the Lions.
I know, but it's not. I'm saying if the season is
And people
happening,
have opted out.
I hear you. If we are playing football, if this is week one and we just finish and it's Sunday evening and like several tests just came back positive, someone's gonna opt out and be like, I'm over this. It happened in baseball. There wasn't a specific date, or there was actually in baseball. They said, look, if you want to play the season, you have to let us know by this time on this day. And if you don't let us know, you're out. All right. We assume that you are opting out. That was said. We've seen players during the season now opt out. Lorenzo Kane just did it a week ago. We talked about it last week. He said peace because they're getting screwed over playing teams that, playing the Cardinals, in which it's unfair to them. They had nothing to do. They had no say. They've been following the rules and they get screwed over. So it's totally going to happen, Jay. Players will opt out if it's during the season, 100%. And it's going to be a shit show. There's just no way around it. Every
I
sport
mean,
looks
I think
different.
that that goes without saying. Like it's going to be a mess. I think that
Yeah,
was kind of where
that's
we
a
were getting
given.
at. Yeah,
Yeah.
after it's going to be week one, and then who knows?
So at this point, it's a question as to whether or not it'll be played, and I guess it will, just because of the NFL, and they don't care about their players, and they don't care about what happens to them. Essentially, I mean, we've seen OBJ talk about his thoughts, and
Yeah, and he's
although
still
he's
playing. Like the players don't give a shit either. So I mean, it's gonna be played,
yeah, it's just going to be a mess.
or else you would see a couple hundred players being opting out before the season. I mean, these guys want to get out there,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's gonna be a mess with no bubble system.
no. So there's really no way around it. It's going to be a mess. and it'll be really curious to see if and when the NFL takes place. So we're going to move on here and talk a little bit about some NBA action. A lot of news, Jason. A lot of things have taken place since we last spoke. And this is going to be the normal now because beforehand it was every week. Well, maybe there'd be some sort of news that broke before teams started playing. But now we have a full slate of games played every day. And there's so much to keep up on. It's crazy. It's hitting us like a truck, if you ask me, in terms of how much is going on essentially, and keeping up with sports again feels really weird after going so long without it. But let's start by talking about Phoenix. Um, who saw this coming? Nobody. They are undefeated. Devin Booker is playing some of the best basketball we have seen him play, let
Mm-hmm.
alone any player in this scenario in the bubble other than TJ Warren, who's been playing ridiculous. But 5 wins, looking insanely great. No one saw this coming. Jason, what do you think? Game winner against the Clippers. Suns are awesome.
Yeah.
Could they potentially make it into the playoffs?
How many games back are they right now? Do we know? I'll
Right
pull it up
now,
really quick. They are. Let's see here. They're kind of
31 and
far back
39.
there. Yeah. So they have quite a climb. It's I think they're not going to make the playoffs, unfortunately, with the amount of games left and how everything's going to work out. I think,
Well,
huh?
so I was gonna say their remaining schedule. They play OKC, the 76ers, and then they finish off against Dallas,
Yeah, I mean, they
which
would have to win all of those, and then like everyone ahead of them would have to lose
lose.
like the majority of their games. Like I'm thinking it's going to be Grizzlies and Blazers at the 8 and 9, but I think it's going to flip flop. I think Blazers are going to be 8,
The
Grizzlies are going
eight.
to end up being 9.
I hear
But
you.
um, yeah, I mean they're incredible. Booker looks incredible. Draymond Green said that he needs to get out of Phoenix because he's way better than them and like such a winner. Got fined $50,000 for saying that.
Yeah,
Booker actually responded to that. I don't know if you saw that. It was in like a short interview, but he said, "I feel like it's important for the organization, for the fans that have stuck by us for this long and still do. Since I've been in Phoenix, we haven't had the winning success that we've had in the past, but the support's always been there. And this is what we owe to the fans. We owe to the organization. It's been a long time for us, and I think this bubble opportunity was big for us, and we're taking advantage of it." Um, I feel like because they're kind of out of the playoff picture, like, but they were invited, they're like you have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? Like you can just go all out every night, and like I feel like they're just bringing it like that. And I actually do like uh, parts of that Phoenix team. I mean, Ricky Rubio is very incredible. I had a tweet the other day.
crafty.
Yeah, I had a tweet the other day. I said, "Have you ever like how many games has Ricky Rubio played?" And the commentator has called him crafty because I think it's all of them. Because I really do. Like I swear, every Suns game or whatever team he was on, Timberwolves,
Yep.
it was like this guy is so crafty. Um, they got Booker, DeAndre Ayton. I mean, those are some good pieces right there. I really like Ayton a lot. Obviously, Luka Doncic is a star of that draft class, but Ayton is very quietly a really really good big man in this league. But yeah, I mean, the Suns have been on fire, uh, and he's just been killing it. That game winner was incredible over both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, two of the premier defenders in the NBA.
Yeah, bro. His footwork on that play, like he made it look so easy. If you go back and you watch that replay, it's crazy. And to do that over uh, Kawhi and PG makes that game winner even crazier, in my opinion, and most other people's. I want to talk about the whole Draymond Green thing again, being fined 50,000. So first off, Jason, a $50,000 fine to anybody in the NBA really isn't anything. To us, obviously, it's a shit ton of money, but for
Mhm.
anyone else, it's really nothing. Did Draymond knowingly okay, Draymond is known to be he's kind of like the Trevor Bauer of the NBA, right? Like he's just a bit of a ding dong, likes
A
to get into
loudmouth.
a loudmouth, likes to be in the news a lot, very into the publicity. Except Trevor Bauer can't get a technical foul every game, whereas Draymond can. But
Yeah.
regardless of that, he goes on TNT as an analyst, and he said exactly, "Get my man out of Phoenix. It's not good for him. It's not good for his career. They got to get Book out of Phoenix. I need my man to go somewhere where he can play great basketball all the time and win because he's that type of player." And then Ernie Johnson responds saying, "Do you think your comments were tampering?" And Green says, "Maybe." Okay, so the NBA clearly thought this was the case,
Hmm.
and they slap a $50,000 fine on Draymond. Do you feel like tampering? The idea of tampering is like stupid because I think that's the dumbest thing ever. Like, I don't know why Draymond doesn't have, or anyone for any reason, any player, First Amendment, I mean, freedom of speech, and be like, hey, like, that guy's too good for his team. Get him out of there. Like, have him come to Golden State, or, he should go play here. I don't get why that's a fine in the first place. It should have been less. It should have been like 10 grand. But like still, $50,000, that's stupid. I don't know. What do you think? I saw that and I was like, that's really just
I
I don't
mean,
know why it's a thing.
tampering's always been a very interesting rule in the NBA because like you have like these guys are friends, you know what I mean? Like these guys have either played together and not necessarily Draymond Green and Devin Booker. I'm just talking about NBA players in general. They've played college basketball together. They've played on Olympic teams together. They played
Some of them maybe
AAU
even
together growing up.
yeah, yeah.
They just like know each other. So the question always is like, when LeBron takes Chris Paul and Melo out to dinner, is he tampering? You know what I mean? Like who really knows? But he's obviously never been fined for doing that type of stuff. But
Hmm.
I think the issue here is that Draymond did it so openly and in such a public way in front of the entire national media, and then got asked if he thought that he was doing that, and he said maybe. I mean, he didn't even deny it. Um, if you're the NBA, you kind of have to take action there and uphold that rule, even if it is a horrible, shitty rule and doesn't really make much sense. It's something that I mean they can't ignore that. That was just too overtly out there and obvious.
Sure. I mean, you could say keep your thoughts to yourself, as easy as that sounds. It's not like guys open their mouth every single day to talk about, I think in this case, Booker shouldn't be on the Suns. Sure, a lot of guys think that. I'm sure they talk about it behind their backs, but they don't blatantly go on camera in front of a national audience and say, "Hey, look, this is how this should be." Uh, I just feel though, Jason, that it's too harsh. It's just not a. It's not worthy of a $50,000
But
fine,
like,
even
let's
though.
say in the NBA rule book it says tampering fine $50,000. Like that's just what it is. I mean, and you just got done saying $50,000 is nothing to these guys, but it's a lot to
It's
us.
true.
So what seems like a shit ton of money to us is really how much money these guys make a game playing.
Yeah, I don't.
It's probably a
Lots.
game's worth of salary.
Yeah,
Who
if that.
knows? Yeah,
Right. So
could be a quarter's worth of salary for all we know. It could be like 8 minutes on the floor.
I don't know. It bugged me because he said a couple things. I don't know. I just think it's really stupid. The Suns Twitter account though poked fun at it. They went and tweeted, "We've got at least 50," and then a K in parentheses reasons why we love Devin Booker. Tweet a little video about him. So there is a little bit of humor in all the madness. I don't disagree with them. Why shouldn't they poke fun at it?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at the end of the day, Draymond is a ding dong, and I don't know if he'll ever learn. But yes, $50,000 fine, tough for him. So anyway, Jason, it is official that this ninth seed playing game will happen um, because uh, sorry, what was I gonna say? The Pelicans and the Kings are eliminated, which is big news because everything that's been happening in terms of the bubble and scheduling and whatnot seems like it was always revolving around like Zion and the Pelicans
Hmm.
trying to make this push for them to play the Lakers in the first round. But unfortunately, the Pelicans are tough, just couldn't get it done, and it's not going to happen. But it's looking like Portland, like you'd said, it's going to be between Portland and Memphis. Memphis has been terrible, only one win in their
They
6 games
also
they've
lost
played.
Jaron Jackson to injury, so they're
Also lost
extra
Jaren.
tough.
Yeah, which is really tough for them. But it is Dame time, and something that I saw that caught my attention. Uh, I know we're going to talk about here in just a second about the Dame missing the game-winning free throws
And the
and
ensuing beef.
the ensuing beef that led up to it. I saw a tweet from this guy named Pierce Simpson, who works for Complex, and he said, "You can tell Dame Lillard ain't friends with NBA players; they just his coworkers." I love that, especially considering we were just talking about how all these guys are friends with each other and maybe they grew up with each other and they played in AAU and whatnot. But that's great because honestly, he's right. Damian Lillard, like, just he's in his own world. He doesn't give a shit, bro. He raps. He's got bars on the side. Like, he is Dame time. He is everything that a lot of guys look up to be, right? Came from nothing. He's been with Portland. He doesn't switch up. He doesn't change teams, which basically was what that beef was about. So, Jason, what do you think about that whole scenario with Patrick Beverly? He was seen like clowning, laughing with who was it? Was it Mark? I want to say it was one of the Morris's, right? When they got caught, like when the camera panned to him, like giggling. I
Oh
don't know
yeah, yeah.
that he missed the two free throws. But what do you think? Like that Instagram beef, was it
I mean,
necessary? Is it just childish?
I think it was pretty childish. First of all, I think Patrick Beverly, like, he's known to be a pest on and off the court, like always. Like, he's just gonna be like just annoying. Like, to describe him as a player, I would just say annoying. Like, he just annoys people on defense. He's just annoying. He's talking the whole game, whatever. He is lockdown, but like part of his whole gimmick is like he's just a mad dog just barking nonstop, like just always talking, and it's just like you expect that from him. The real surprise is from Paul George because
Mm.
he's not one that's normally vocal like that or says anything. I forgot exactly what he said, um,
He
but
didn't say Cancun on three. I think
no,
that was
that was
Beverly.
Patrick Beverly. Oh, he said like you're gonna like Paul George said something along the lines of like we're gonna beat you, like you're gonna be or like you're gonna be like not even in the playoffs, or if you make the playoffs, you're gonna be packing like after the first round.
Yeah,
And it's
right. Like pack the bags along those lines.
like I think it just made Paul George look like super weak because one, we never see that from him. So he's clearly very emotionally invested in what's happening to Damian Lillard. And it's like, dude,
Hmm.
focus on yourself. And two, last year in the playoffs, we saw Damian Lillard hit like one of the most memorable buzzer beaters in NBA history
In Paul
over Paul
George's
George,
face.
like from half court to send him packing home. Dame's right with his response. He's like, like you guys like kind of aren't it. Like you just switch up to whoever's like competitive and make moves that way. And he's sort of right. I mean, Paul George is when he was in Indiana. I mean, that team was really successful and kind of ran into LeBron and the Heat, and that sort of stopped them. And then we saw his troubles in Oklahoma City, and now he's in L.A. with Kawhi, who is
Kawhi. And that
absolutely phenomenal.
yeah, and that decision was like the two of them were talking like, "Hey, let's go to LA
Yeah, like you go
together."
to LA, I'm going to LA. Like let's
Yeah,
go.
and we could win
Yeah.
type of thing. So Paul George is just running around looking for a team to play on that he could win, whereas you have Damian Lillard who has been grinding, season after season, really making a name for himself, hustling for his own team. So I listen, I feel him. The whole you guys switching sides thing, switching up teams, while Dame's out here just playing lights out. Last
Yeah.
night he had a 50 piece against the 76ers.
I mean, at that,
Thus eliminating the Pelicans. Like he is on this full journey to get it done, and it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy, but I think it was too early for Paul George and Patrick Beverley to just start clowning on him because it's still Dame time. It's Dame time until the lights go out.
yeah. And I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, Damian Lillard's living rent free in Paul George's head with like a 50-acre estate. Like, Paul George, like, I mean, you can say that it bothered Dame, but like I'm telling you, it didn't really bother him. And Dame probably went and put up shots for like 2.5 hours after that, while Paul George was eating food in the room or something.
Out golfing.
I don't think you can really say that to the Blazers, especially because like they would definitely be already in the playoffs if Nurkic, who's arguably either the second or third best player on that entire team, wasn't out for like a ton of this year.
Yeah.
And Collins, who was injured a ton of this year. I mean, those are two huge big men that are super important to that team. And now that they have them back, look how great they've been. I mean, they've just been killing everyone for the most part. So I don't
Right.
know. I think that the Blazers are going to be fine. And I think it would be incredible if somehow the Blazers and Clippers met up in the playoffs and Dame sent Paul George packing again.
Hacking.
I mean, can you imagine? The internet would absolutely explode if that took place.
Yes. Yes. That would be really exciting, and definitely the viewership of those games would be through the roof. Jason, I wanted to bring up a point here quickly that was made. So LeBron basically came out and was like, look, well, first off, the Lakers are not playing as well as
They're playing
maybe
so bad.
you or I or anyone else expected. They only have 2 wins in their 6 games. They're 2-4. Um, the thing is that LeBron basically came out and said, look, this whole playing in front of no fans thing, he is trying to adjust to that. And as a fan watching this game from home, we're watching the NBA from home. It's weird because it sounds like there's fans there and whatnot. And it looks like any other game on TV, except we know that there's no fans there. But we aren't, we haven't been in the NBA. We don't know what it's like. And we've talked about this in so many episodes leading up to sports coming back as to whether or not no players in the or no
No
fans
fans.
in the stands, how this would affect the players. So to hear this coming from LeBron, I think says a lot because he's essentially speaking for the NBA. If LeBron is struggling, there's no way that no one else,
I kind of
isn't.
I kind of disagree with you a little bit. Because LeBron is so exceptionally different from everyone else. You have to think this kid, since he was a sophomore or like a junior in high school, he's played sold out arenas ever since that point in his life.
Sure.
Okay. So most of these other guys in the NBA, like they were selling out their high school gym when they were 15 years old. He is literally pretty much only played basketball competitively to a sold out crowd. Like even when LeBron comes to your town, like your team sucks dick. Like you're the fucking Detroit Pistons. Like everyone's excited to go see the Cavaliers versus the Pistons, the Heat versus Pistons, Lakers
Because
versus Pistons, because
LeBron,
LeBron is there. Like you don't get to see LeBron in person that often. Like it's just what he does. He's like that big of an appeal for the NBA. So I think it's unique for him, and I think that was also sort of a political type of answer that he had in response to why the Lakers are doing kind of bad. Because if you've actually watched the Lakers, they like it's nothing LeBron's doing wrong. Like he's doing what he's always done, which is kind of penetrate and find open guys for three and facilitate for his team. But his guys are not knocking down shots at all. I mean, Danny Green has been quietly one of the worst players in the bubble, like by far. I mean, I think one game he shot like 2 for 15 or something. I mean, as a team collectively, they're shooting like I think barely above 20% from three if you take out LeBron and AD from the equation. And that's going to be a really big problem for them come playoff time because that has sort of always been LeBron's formula to success. And how they've always built teams around LeBron is kind of get the ball down low, penetrate inside, and find shooters on the outside that are open after moving the ball around. And they've been doing that. They've been following their game plan. It's not like they've completely changed their game plan or they're trying something new out and it's not working. It's that the formula to success throughout the entire regular season that allowed them to clinch the 1 seed, and the formula to success that allowed LeBron to be so successful just isn't working right now. And he can't. The media ask him, he can't say, "Well, my team can't fucking hit their shots. What do you want from me?" I mean, so I think that was a good answer from him.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I think this is really going to be seen come playoffs time, as to whether or not the Lakers still stink. I mean, you can't blame. You can't just say, look, because there's no fans here, this is why we suck. At the end of the day, you're LeBron James, and like you said, he's played in front of thousands and thousands of fans every single game. Any city he goes to, everyone wants to watch him. So I hear it, I get it. Um, for him though, to just be like, this is tough with no fans. Like I think a lot of players can agree with that. And I mean, I feel that there's a sense of motivation when you have a crowd there cheering you on. Like the ability that crowds have, how much influence they have on players in key situations is huge. So it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
weird, and I don't know how things are gonna be stepped up in terms of like in-game ambience and what have you when the playoffs start up. But it's gonna be weird, and sounds like LeBron is still getting used to it in a sense. And yeah, at this point, to hear him or at least someone be verbal about it, I'm really interested to see where things go when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, just one more thing before we move on to baseball. I just think that like it's like different for every player, like, right? So sort of how I said for LeBron, he's always been playing in front of solid crowds. Like Duncan Robinson, who went to Michigan, but before that played for junior college. Before the bubble started, he said, "Oh, I'm fine with nobody being there. Like, I'm used to playing in empty gyms. Like, I thrive on that." He's been on fire in the bubble. And at the end of the day, like the Phoenix Suns haven't lost a game. Like it obviously it takes a toll and it affects you, but at the end of the day, like I don't think like that's it. Like I think
Sure.
more so the 3-point shooting, and
Yeah.
it's a valid point, but um at the end of the day, it's still basketball.
Yes. Yep. I hear you. And for the Suns to play as well as they are, just say they're used to not having a lot of fans in the stands. All right, we're gonna move on here. Talk a little bit of baseball. So, Jason, here we are. What are we? About 3 weeks or so into the season. I'm glad it's still happening. I feel that baseball will play out. Will the full 60 games will be played. They did announce a lot of like how teams will be playing those like suspended games in terms of if you played the Cardinals, like the Tigers were supposed to. It's just a matter of protocol and players keeping at will and being safe and whatnot. So I think in that regard, we're going to be all right. But I want to talk about the Tigers because here we are, 3 weeks in, and we're still looking good. We are playing better than we were projected to play. Granted, there are still, some aspects of the Tigers that aren't there. We talk about starting pitching, but we go, what was it, 6 days, 6 days without playing. Come back, have a series against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. This is a team that we haven't seen yet because we only played Kansas City and the Reds a bunch of times. It's not like the Pirates are a great team, but we sweep them. We score 30 runs in 3 games. That first game was nuts. I couldn't believe that Pittsburgh went on to tie them in the ninth. But you really see how this new extra inning runner on second rule has played out, especially in this series. I mean, Tigers go up, Pittsburgh ties it, Tigers go up. So it's this whole back and forth affair.
Before you
And
finish, real quick,
uh-huh.
how do you feel about it now? Because remember a couple weeks ago,
That's what I
you
was just
said
going
you
to talk
hated
about.
it, And I said, wait for some time to pass. You might actually enjoy it. So I'm just curious. Did you enjoy watching that extra innings?
Yes, I did, and like I hate to say yes because it's just not traditional. Like I'm not, no one's used to that. This is all new, but it was exciting. It
Hmm.
really makes if you are betting on baseball, like that is incredibly exciting. If you're just a Tigers fan in general, like a lot of people hate watching baseball. Like, they think it's slow. Like that now how extra innings are set up really makes the game like that much more interesting, and so many more runs to be scored, so much action to be played out. But that, I think that is better, like when you have an offensive route versus like I'm gonna lay a bunt down and try to get man's over to third with one out and see what we can do,
Hmm.
sort of thing. It's not like teams are doing that every time, but yeah, I was glad to see like an offensive route take place. Um, so anyway, the Tigers are 8-5. I wanted to talk about the stat that I saw. So two things. One, Miguel Cabrera leads the Tigers in average exit velocity, and he ranks 12th in the majors in that category. So we talked about this before, and we were wondering, well, is Miguel Cabrera going to stay healthy? And granted, he's not playing amazing. His batting average isn't great, but he's making solid contact, Jason, which says a lot. And the other thing is that out of all of baseball, the Tigers lead the league in hardest hit percentage, which is crazy. Um, Considering you have like every other team, like
Like the
it's just, bro,
Yankees.
it blows my mind. So like, what do you think? We're 8-5. Uh, Big series coming up though against Chicago and Cleveland. Jay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think this last series we played against Pittsburgh really helped us with a lot of our stat categories. I can't remember which one, but I was watching the game yesterday, and they're talking about like they were showing a bunch of different stats, and it was like the Tigers on like Thursday, and then it was like the Tigers today, and they were like tied 30th or like tied 28th in like all these categories, and now they're like 10th, like 8th, like 15th, like they just moved up so many and 3 games because they were just mashing the shit out of the ball versus the Pittsburgh Pirates. But yeah, I mean we've been saying this for a couple weeks now. Tigers are a really exciting team to watch. I mean, we kind of have a chance every game so far, at least with our schedule. Um, and I mean, I think we could definitely win some games against the White Sox and take a couple games off of them. I don't see that being a problem. Our series have always been a little electric in the past. Should be interesting. I believe later today we have Turnbull on the mound. So maybe.
No, Turnbull was yesterday. Today
Oh,
it's
who's.
Fulmer. We got
Oh,
Fulmer pitching.
okay. Um, so could be interesting there. Um, yeah, I mean they're an exciting team to watch.
Yeah,
I don't really like Shep's commentary though.
this is a valid point of discussion. Yeah, I agree. And people have always talked about the combination of him and like Kirk Gibson is literally this, and Cabrera is looking good. He's
Yeah,
very like so
it's like golf.
monotone, and yeah, bro, it's really tough. I hear you. I miss Mario and Rod. I know a lot of people do. That's just never gonna happen again, as tough as that is. But like if the Tigers are actually going to be this better team,
Hmm.
which I mean, in the next few years, 100% they will be. Definitely has to be a new commentary squad. I'm not saying it's going to be you and I. It could be. That'd be nuts. But it's
It,
got to be like there's just no it. It's not
the,
like it sounds fake. Like,
bro,
and
it's
I'm
like
talking like Shepard. Like
no, 100%. Like when I was watching that first inning the other day, it was like
when we hit 4 home runs.
yes, by the fourth home run, he sounded excited. It was like, dude, like, what the hell? Like, the first three is like, oh, and there's one pop to left, and it's gone. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
like I'm not feeling it. And by the fourth one, he's like, holy cow! He's like, we had an incredible inning. I don't know if this has ever been. It's like, yeah, like that's what I want. Like, show me you're excited.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It took them to
it's
take 4 home runs in the first inning to get some life out of this guy.
yeah. Well, you had said, like you wanted to hear Dan's call, and
I was
me
about to
too.
say that. Get Dan on TV.
I've been looking for. I just haven't been looking hard enough. I'm sure I'll find it. But like the video where like they use the 97.1. They use Dan's
Audio.
the radio call, the audio. Yeah, because look, I've been listening to him on the radio for forever. So have so many Tigers fans. We know that voice well, right? And we know how excited he gets over a home run. And I'm saying this now, like naturally in the sense that I have not listened to his call of those 4 home runs.
Me neither.
And I really want to. And after this, I'm going to try and find it again.
He probably had a hernia while he was doing it, dude. Like,
yeah, from excitement.
Exactly.
Yeah, if the Tigers are going to – this is really interesting to me. But if the Tigers are going to keep this up and over the years be great, I think totally a new commentary team should take place. And that's funny that we're like talking about that on the show, but it's a valid point. I mean, look at Greg Kelser and George Blaha. Like, I mean, that's a crew, right?
That's the squad.
That's the squad, and everyone knows them. Blaha's been in the game for what, like I don't know, 20.
I think he was around during the last pandemic in 1918.
Shit.
He's been around forever.
Come on, he's a legend.
He's a legend. He's just 100 years old, as far as I'm concerned.
But he's still kicking it.
100%.
But let's go back to this whole spiel about the Tigers and the White Sox. So the thing is that if we can play like 500 ball, we'll probably get into the playoffs, right? With like this new format and 16 teams that will advance to the playoffs.
What if we won it all, man?
Bro, it really could happen. If we win 22 of our next 47 games, we finish with a 500 record. And
we were projected to win 22 games this year, by the way.
Yes. We were projected to win 22 games and finish last in the Central. Currently, we're second in the Central, and we're a half a game out behind Minnesota. But this is the thing, Jason, is this series, these next 2 weeks, will tell us everything, okay? So we had Turnbull pitch yesterday, right? He's the only pitcher in our rotation to pitch past the 6th inning. He's now done this twice. There's a lot of excitement behind Turnbull first. Like, I don't think he's getting a lot of credit or hype to his name. He's by far been our best pitcher. Mm-hmm. Dominated the Reds in a matchup against Luis Castillo, and we went on to win that game 7-2. But Turnbull is turning it on. They call him Red Bull, which is funny. Great nickname. But
I don't really like that nickname.
Well, you may have to, because who knows? He could win the Cy Young this year. There's a lot of excitement behind him. The thing is that our rotation stinks.
Yeah, doesn't Fulmer have like a 14 ERA so far throughout the year?
Yeah, Fulmer's just not having it. Nova's been pretty good.
Surprisingly,
pretty well.
I thought he would blow.
Well, he pitched. He used to pitch for Pittsburgh, so he was, he knows that ballpark familiar. And Pittsburgh's not a great team by any means. But the thing is that if we are actually going to look like a contending team in this new world of 16 teams in the playoffs, the Tigers' pitching is going to have to be there. The bullpen's consistency will have to be there as well. Look, at some point, Soto –
he's got to close out the games, bro. I think.
Well, you think you want him in the closer role over Jimenez?
Dude, I think Jimenez is good for like a run every time he's out there.
Well, he blew – okay.
Jimenez is either like very, very on point or like he's giving up runs. Tough. It's like there's no like – it was a decent outing from Joe Jimenez. It was like, this is like the guy or this is definitely not the guy.
It's kind of like Jose Valverde.
I was about to say
Valverde was either lights out. Well, he had 3. He was lights out. He was tough, right? He'd give up like 12 homers. Or he'd get like runners at second and third and like one out, and you're like, fuck, like, are we gonna blow it again? And
Yeah,
then he'd like get out of the jam, and then he would do a spin, like, bro,
exactly.
Jose Valverde, wow, those are the days.
Honestly, I just love watching Soto pitch, man.
He's a
I
beast.
mean, he is special.
He what's funny is, so he got, like, now he's got the dreads,
Oh
right?
yeah,
He
dude.
didn't have them before, and last year he stunk. He was not good. Now he's got this new look, right? This new attitude, bro. I just went and followed him on Instagram because I'm like, he deserves this follow. Gregory Soto is killing it. He is our Aroldis Chapman. I
Hmm.
mean, lefty who's slinging it 100 plus, has struck out, I think in 7 innings, he struck out 10 guys. He's given up one hit, dude. One stinking hit.
I mean,
He's
that's what I'm saying. Like, he's got to close him out for us. Like, this guy is incredible.
well. Look. I mean, Jimenez is also good. When he's on, he's on. Okay,
Exactly. But when he's
but
off,
it's funny because Jack Morris and Kirk Gibson, they have said like numerous times in the broadcast of Tigers games, like, yeah, these they're bound to blow up, like something's bound to give, which, okay, I mean, sure, Soto's gonna have a day, hopefully he doesn't, but maybe he'll have a day where he gives up, 2 dingers, or he's not gonna have this perfect season where he doesn't give up a run. I'm not saying it couldn't happen.
in a
uh,
shortened year, you never know.
Right, you never know. He's going out there less times than he would in a regular 162 game season. So look, there's a lot of excitement. There's also the potential that Casey Mize gets called up, and I'm all for that. And
Same.
every Tigers fan is, who's not.
Yeah.
Like, he could seriously come up. He can get called up and like throw no hitter. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. This dude is legit. Number 1 pick back in 2018. I love watching the Tigers in spring training because it's nice to have baseball back, but you also get to see some
Hmm.
of these big name guys go out there and play. Like Casey Mize, when you watch him pitch, you probably don't know this as like well as I do, Jason, but like, bro, his sinker is legit. It is one of the nastiest pitches I've ever seen. And he's not a guy who's up there throwing 100 miles an hour. Like, he's got the nasty movement on his pitches. So
Hmm.
I'm really hopeful that we call him up. And I think if we actually want a shot at maybe playing in the playoffs, we gotta call up Casey Mize, and I'm all for it.
Well, and we just saw what Tyler Alexander did the other day. I mean, what if this guy just becomes a stud in his own right? I mean, things are looking up. I actually heard from one of my friends, and I know you don't have the newest version of the show, but in the newest version, the one that came out this year, they have
I
a
know what
thing
you're gonna
called
say.
moments. Yeah, and there
Hmm.
was a moment for him where you got to strike out like a trillion guys in a row.
Right. Well,
So,
you got to pull off the feat that Tyler Alexander did.
mhm.
I actually thought what you were going to say was they have like live series cards, right, for like Diamond Dynasty,
Yeah,
and they released like a 90, I think it was like a 93, like Tyler Alexander, like,
unreal.
yeah, which is hype, which is really hype. And how can you not, bro? Like, how can you not? You
Deserves it.
also too, like, I don't think we talked about this, but like Doug Fister had the record as a starter for 8 in a row, and I think because Alexander came in for relief, so I
Yeah,
think it was different in
it
terms of
was.
a
It
starter
was. Yeah,
most consecutive versus a reliever most consecutive. But Doug Fister holds the record for most consecutive strikeouts with 8.
I didn't know that actually.
Yes, and I think I was at that game, oddly enough. But anyway, I wanted to talk about the MLB's MLB.com, their power rankings. So this is kind of ridiculous. They have the Tigers in 26th, ranked 26th, and last week they were 30th. So they had them as the worst team, and they go on, they sweep the Pirates, they score all these runs, they go all this time without playing, 6 days, and they move them down 4 spots. I don't know. I think that's ridiculous.
Do you
I
think
mean,
they should have been moved more?
yeah, I think they should have been at least anywhere from like 15 to 20.
I think it's kind of part of the reason is because we didn't play that series. So like there are other teams playing games and stuff, and like we weren't. So that kind of they might have taken that into consideration. But I don't really give a fuck what MLB's power rankings are. I kind of like being the underdog and kind of like laying low a little and having this chip on our shoulder and the way we've been playing.
Yeah. Well, they have in terms of the top five, they got Dodgers first, Yankees ranked second, the A's ranked third.
What?
Which bro, they
I mean, they've
swept
been good. They've been good, yeah. But
they
they've
swept
also
the
had more
Astros.
walk offs than anyone in extras.
Two
Like,
walk-off grand slams.
and then they had another walk off that wasn't a grand slam. I think they have three of them
Yeah,
in
Marcus
extras.
Simeon. The other day it was like a walk-off double or single. So the A's in third, Twins in fourth, Cubs in fifth, and everything else plays out. The Indians are
Where are
seventh.
the Padres in there?
Oh, good question.
They've been mashing
Padres
the
are
ball.
11th,
Okay,
which is like
that's
essentially top
reasonable.
10. And bro, yeah, I like that you mentioned that because I was gonna talk about it. Fernando Tatis Jr. is a beast.
Hmm.
Okay, he is a beast. Madison Bumgarner is trash. Like, who saw this coming, right? He went and signed 4 years, 85 mil, bro. That's looking like a
Well,
really tough
whoever
signing right now.
whoever their GM is like actually retarded because you deal Granky, right? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I don't want to pay this contract, and then you're like, oh, here's this pitcher that's aging and declining. Let's just throw him a bunch of money for all these years. Like what? Like how does that make any sense at all? Makes
Well,
zero sense.
Ryu got paid
Yeah,
too.
no, but
That
I'm
was
talking
also
about
been
the Diamondbacks specifically. They got rid
yes,
of Greinke because you don't want to pay him, and then you pay Bumgarner, who's older, you know, kind of losing his stuff a little bit,
but
and now
yes,
look at the situation they're in.
I don't.
It looks like a horrible signing. He's 0-3 with a 9.35 ERA.
Yeah. Okay. Look. So he's tough, right? He's really tough. But I didn't blame the D-backs at first when they made that signing. If anything, you try to give him a 2-year contract and maybe like 40 mil. So he's making like 20 mil a season, which is still a lot. And obviously, we didn't know that Bumgarner was going to be as trash as he's been. We didn't know that his average velo was going to decline several miles per hour less. He didn't even top off at 88 miles an hour yesterday. Served up 4 home runs. I really feel bad for him because he like Will Myers hit a home run off Bumgarner. It was like the second or third one he gave up, and he genuinely looked like depressed.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a dark place right now, to say the least.
So if you take Bumgarner's performance into consideration, right? What I wonder is when are we gonna like? First off, is this the decline of Madison Bumgarner as we know it?
100%. What does the
And
decline look like if this isn't it? Because this isn't good.
no, it's not good. Uh, and it's tough because what does this mean for Verlander? What does it mean for Corey Kluber? Two guys that are hurt. I mean, Bumgarner. It's not like Bumgarner is ailing, although they said he left the game yesterday due to back spasms, which I think was bullshit.
Yeah,
They obviously just needed to make
get
it
him out of
seem like,
there.
yeah, he needed to get out of there. What does this mean for guys that have been so dominant over their entire career? Uh, Verlander's hurt, and I also just saw too that his schedule, like his rehabbing, is like not going how he wants it to, which is never good. And Verlander's got a bit of a injured past. His history there is not great, so it's tough. It's just like for me, it's a wake up call of like I'm getting older because these guys are used to be so great, and now they're getting old. And now, like, look at like Miguel Cabrera, right? Who was so good for so long, and now he's like declining. So it's really just it's tough to see. I hope Bumgarner can turn around. Um, I just don't know if he can. And look, in baseball, you just can't give these pitchers long contracts like that, especially when they're getting up there in age.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up well. I don't really know what else to say there. I mean, I don't. It's hard. It's hard
it
to pay guys when they're 37.
Yeah, bro,
Or
that
whatever
is
it
what it
is.
is. In terms of guys that are maybe surprising us or not surprising us, Aaron Judge continues to mash. He is incredible. Nick Castellanos is really making a name for himself all of a sudden. Uh, Crazy when you think of like these former Tigers that are like that have really made a name for themselves. Castellanos won. JD Martinez, who is really struggling right now. You do not hear
That
that
whole
much about
team is
JD. That
struggling right now.
they're tough. Eugenio Suarez, who had an insane season last year, and supposedly Jose Iglesias. I have not paid that much attention to Baltimore, but supposedly Iglesias is having a good season with them. Although he's always been amazing defensively,
Mm-hmm.
but with the bat, he's doing pretty well. Tatis Jr. 8 home runs. So him and Judge both have 8 homers. I heard a stat last night, basically saying Tatis has like the strongest arm out of any infielder, and he tops out like his like fastest throw. He's topped out at 94, which is nuts.
That's
So
crazy.
he's like really good for the game of baseball, if you ask me. Really cool guy, like chill, just like down the earth. Was really fun to watch back when there were no sports and
Mm-hmm.
like MLB had one player from each team play each other in like MLB The Show, and they were streaming. He was really fun to watch. Yeah, it's a great time for baseball and seeing these guys just dominate. It's great to see the Astros be tough. Okay, there is this Twitter account that's hysterical. It is what's it called? I gotta get the name here. Let's pull up this article real quick. 2020 Astros Shame Tour. Great name. They always tweet these videos about like Jose Altuve like struggling, bro, and he's tough. Altuve's tough. He had 3 errors
Yeah,
in 1 inning the other day.
bro. Like he just doesn't even look like he gives a shit anymore. Because I bet on the Astros a couple times, and like the stuff he's doing out there, it's like is he even like playing baseball? Like what is he doing? Like he'll try and just like barehand the ball off the ground, do like a 360 and throw it to first, and he's just like throws it pretty much back to home plate, and it's just like skied in the air. It's just embarrassing, bro.
Yeah.
Their bullpen's fucking tough. Like I don't know, man.
And we saw this whole benches clearing brawl yesterday with
Exactly what the
Ramon
MLB did
Laureano.
not want.
Right. So there's going to be some big suspensions there. And also, I don't know if you saw this, but it was like initiated by like the Astros hitting coach who supposedly has a reputation of just like being a ding dong and like messing with like teams and whatnot. So I'm excited to see the repercussions that come of that.
Well, hopefully
But
the A's don't get too hit too hard with repercussions because, as you said, they've been off to a really hot start, and I don't know if you remember when we were making our predictions for the season, Brandon. There are two teams I said I think the Twins. I'm picking the Twins as you did the year before
yep.
because they're electric and have the bats and stuff. They're on a little 4-game skid right now, but before that, they were on a 6-game winning streak. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I expect them to get back to their winning ways. And then the other team I said this could be the A's
Oakland.
year because they are one of those sneaky teams that is always competitive when it comes time for the postseason, and it's looking like I should have placed some future bets on the Twins and the A's. I'll say that much.
Yeah, bro. Oakland is always a really tough opponent. We know that as Tigers fans, although we've smacked them every year in the ALDS. Um, yes, I hope the A's aren't tackled with that big of a fine or whatever the repercussion. Hopefully the Astros, learn their lesson and maybe they get hit pretty hard by this whole scenario. And clearly people are getting fed up with them. But I can't wait to see that. And hopefully by next week's episode, Jason, we'll have some more good news in terms of baseball in general and the Tigers. But we're going to finish today's episode with one final segment called In Other News. So, Jason, in other news, I had discovered this video, and a lot of people are watching it. So it's two kids I want to say
They're twins.
it's are they? I'm looking at
Dude,
it
their
right now.
YouTube channel is called Twins the New Trend. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure they're twins or brothers.
They're brother. They don't look like twins.
I mean, I don't know why their thing would be called twins like on their YouTube channel,
It
but
is twins, the new trend. Okay,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they look like twins. But
Either way.
regardless, they are listening to In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins for the first time, which how have you just never heard this song? I don't know.
That's okay. Just after you explain it, I gotta pop off for a second.
But to sum it up in short, they're listening to it and you're watching their reaction. And then when the beat drops,
The
drums
drums.
hit, uh, they go nuts. And they are genuinely like, yo, like this is insane for as old of a song it is or whatever. Like I think one of them even says like, yo, like that beat drop was crazy and it happened so late in the song,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
does. But Jason, we talked about this yesterday. I know that you had a lot to say, so I will stop talking. Please share your thoughts.
I mean, we started to talk about it. You're just like save it for the show, save it for the show. So here we are.
Yep.
But I mean, after I watched this video, I looked these guys up on YouTube, and like, I swear to God, for the past 2 days, bro, I've watched like 50, like I've watched like them do this for so many songs, and I love that you mentioned like how have you not heard this song because like I like they have not heard any songs apparently because there are so many of these videos where they just haven't heard a lot of them, and like I listened to they were listening to some Led Zeppelin, like a whole lot of love. They go fucking nuts over Crazy by Gnarls Barkley. Like they absolutely lose their shit. How to Save a Life by The Fray. They were mind blown. Hey There Delilah, Plain White Tees. They lost their cool. I mean, if you haven't
Bohemian Rhapsody.
that one I haven't seen yet.
I'm
But
looking at all the songs that they're listening to for the first time.
yeah, but like if you haven't checked them out, I would say definitely check them out on YouTube. Twins the New Trend, and just look them up. But like they I mean they haven't heard a lot of like rock songs or country songs from the past probably like
Couple
50 years or
decades.
so. Yeah. But their reactions are great before, but like it's so like when they first get into a song and the first like 10 seconds or something are like unreal, they pause it and they're like hold up, they're like we gotta buckle up for this one, like this one's different, and both of them just like take like a fake seatbelt and they like strap in.
No,
It's so funny, dude.
that's awesome.
But yeah, like there's Stevie Wonder songs they're listening to. I mean, like if you type in Twins New Trend and then like a band or an artist, like dude, these guys are phenomenal.
Yeah,
I've been watching
they've
them.
got a ton of videos,
Like,
ton.
and what an awesome idea for a YouTube channel. Honestly,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a
I
really
wish I
good.
could do it, but I think I've heard too many songs at this point in my
Oh,
life. You
Jason,
know
there's
what I
no way
mean?
you're doing this.
Yeah,
You know every song there is. I
yeah.
didn't realize all these videos. Oh my god. Okay.
Like definitely look it up and take some time to watch these because they're great. But some of them the guy on the left does like he does them alone. Like I don't know if the guy on the right is like busy doing shit or whatever,
Maybe,
and this
yeah,
guy on the
maybe.
left's like bro, like we got to get the content out, like we gotta plug the viewers. I don't know, but
Like,
yeah,
listen to Aerosmith with me for once. Like, come on, you were in our last video. Like, we got to do it now. Like, come on.
like
Sure.
actually though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and watch a few more of those videos, but that is after my round of golf. I'm going to hit the golf course with our one of our previous guests, Eli Hammer. Him and I are going to play a little bit of golf. That's why we got the uni on, the tire. Weather's looking good out there. We
Hopefully
got
you'll
to
keep it a
walk.
little cleaner than Justin Thomas.
Yeah. That video went pretty viral, and it's awesome because hey, look, that's how pretty much every golfer feels. Maybe
Yeah,
on
I
every
mean
green.
I haven't golfed that many times in my life, but that's how I feel pretty much every time I go golfing because
Yeah,
it's just like,
it
I
was
don't know.
awesome to see. Like it happens to everyone. Well, Jason, we got a tea time to make. This was fun. Next week, so much more to be spoken about. When does the NBA playoffs start? Isn't it that ninth game is or the ninth seeded? game, I think, is next for this weekend, actually. I think it's on Saturday, the 15th.
That's
Saturday.
in 5 days. Yeah.
So, yeah, so for next week, there will be a lot more to talk about. Some juicy news, couple of new segments possibly. You're going to have to tune in to find out. But for now, go ahead, follow us on Instagram at Bagels and Locks Pod. Plenty of great content out there. Shout out Jason. He does a great job. We love to see it each and every day, day in, day out. But for now, I am Brandon Rothenberg. This is Jason Silverstone. We will be seeing you guys next week on Bagels and Locks.